Hello and good morning. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. I'm thrilled to be here. It's Friday. The weekend is a few hours away, and we have a lot of amazing video game news to get into. I mean, it has been Bethesda Central. Todd Howard's out there talking about a big update. I mean, like a massive update coming to Starfield. Obviously, we hear that Fallout, the show, got renewed yesterday. That's not a big surprise. Some big numbers out of Europe. I mean, like numbers that are so redonkulous that they don't even make sense. But we're going to get into that. But of course, the lead story here, folks, is, well, Ham Solo, welcome. Xbox seems to be taking over the world because 7 of their games are in the top 25 on the PlayStation Network, and that has ruffled a lot
sit and spin on it. Yeah.
Yeah, sit and spin on it, man.
Yeah.
Good morning, kind sir. How you feeling?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Oh man, I'm just loving the oh man, it's just like a mist in the air almost of just copium that's just going around on Twitter right now, and I'm just like, you ever see what's that? God, what's that one show or whatnot where the guy? Oh yeah, it's Heroes. Have you ever seen Heroes before?
Loved it. Phenomenal. The first couple of seasons were phenomenally great.
Remember that one black dude that used to like be super like he was he was one of the enemies or whatnot, but he could smell fear, right? And he'd go, yes. Oh, and like you like he'd get like a big old like you could see his chest puff out and everything. He's like, oh. And I'm excuse my language, boom, but he's like, I can smell some bitch in here. like it was like that's kind of the way that it's kind of been going for me on Twitter. Like I'm looking through, and like, I mean, I'm gonna throw some names out because I don't give a damn. Like I've seen King Thrash on here, Porter Rock, all these people, now it's a big deal because Xbox because Xbox is doing it has some of their first party games going nuts over on PlayStation. The whole shtick at the beginning of this generation was Xbox had no games, right? But now Xbox got so many games that y'all can't even ignore it.
Yep.
Ain't that something? I mean, sure, like you said earlier, it'd be a little weird if they put a flagship on there, right?
Right.
But these aren't even flagship titles, bruh.
Yeah.
These aren't even flagship titles, and sure, you could say Fallout is one, but how old is that?
Yeah, well, we got some numbers that are going to blow your mind.
Man, y'all giving buku money for these old games, including Sea of Thieves, brother. I mean, 6+ years, man. I mean, and y'all want to give up that cash because the new games ain't hitting? I mean, that ain't our problem.
No. Well, I mean, look, this where it's going to get a little slanderous is by year's end. And again, this is a hypothetical, folks. Enjoy, bask in the ambience, if you will. What happens if the best-selling games, I'm not saying game, I'm talking plural. What happens, Silent Cypher, if at the end of 2024, when we're all getting ready for Christmas and the year is coming to an end and the game awards are around the corner and everyone is at a feverish pitch at what Microsoft is going to show, and in the top 10 games on PlayStation, 4 of them are Microsoft-owned titles, because that's what it looks like is going to happen, right? I mean, Fallout has been going crazy. Fallout 76 has hit numbers on Steam just alone over the past weekend that it's never hit before. As a matter of fact, just for some context here, I pulled a story from VGC. They reported this yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Fallout 4 was not only the best-selling game across Europe last week, but the sales. Get this. I had to double-check because I thought it was a typo. It's not.
Yeah, how many zeros, bro?
Well, 7,500% increase.
Nuts.
In sales because of the TV shows. Folks, I am not making that up. 7,500% 500% increase in the sales across Europe for Fallout 4 Silent Cypher. And again, lead story today, 7 of the 25 most of the top 25 games on PSN are Microsoft owned. That's a big deal. Good morning, kind sir. How you feeling?
I'm good, and I'll tell you one thing for sure is if 4 of those games end up in this bad boy at the end of the year, you thought right now was intolerable on Twitter. You thought the internet was bad enough right now. There's going to be people coping, seething all over the place. People are going to be freaking out, and people are going to be deflecting just like they're doing it right now. It's like every time Microsoft does it, it's a problem. But every time it's good for Sony, it's, but if it's got that Microsoft scent to it that that Ham was talking about earlier, if it's got that scent, people are going to freak out and people are going to be bawling in the streets. I guarantee you see people like MBG and others going to be losing their minds out there doing 5 or 6 hour streams about how angry they are that Microsoft's ruined the ecosystem by bringing their games, but they'll be playing them in the background. They will.
Yeah, they'll be offline. They'll be going on those anonymous accounts, so they can't see their trophies or their achievements, because obviously they don't want. Listen. At the end of the day, folks, things are changing in the industry. I know a lot of arrows have been slung at Microsoft. Again, some of the mistakes I think that they made, particularly this year, was forcing the envelope with Hi-Fi Rush, because obviously it went over and it did nothing. It sold a little bit. I don't think the monies that the intake of funds for a game that was very well received on Xbox did enough. It did more brand damage than it did make money for them. So I think that was one of the mistakes, and they realized it. I'm sure that they understand that they have to tread lightly when they're going to make these kind of moves, because Fuzzy, if you look at these 7 games that are on PSN's top 25, they're all moneymakers, and they have been moneymakers, and they literally every one of them are printing money. So there's really no need to put a single player game like, let's say, for instance, the Hellblade. Hellblade 2 has no business going to PlayStation because they don't need the money like that. They're making money. They're making so much money with the games that are currently there now. Listen, if you want to play Hellblade 2, and you probably should want to play that next month, get a PC or get an Xbox. You're just not going to play it on PlayStation, and that's okay. I can't play God of War on Xbox. That's why I have a PlayStation, and I'm happy to have it. Same thing for Horizon or Uncharted. These are flagship titles. We talked about this in the green room, and that's where they need to stay. Personally, I do have a theory though that I'll kind of segue. Ham Solo says I'm walking a razor's edge of madness with what I'm about to say, but
I love it. I love it though. I mean, it's a razor's edge of madness, and boom, like you say what you say, and it kind of makes sense in the sense of like, folks need money.
Yeah, and Sony needs money. They absolutely do. But Fuzzy, good morning, sir. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. Some interesting topics to get into, and man, I'm just amazed at how PlayStation cats always used to dog on Xbox titles, but yet they seem to be buying them in droves. Like, just funny how that works out.
Interesting theory. Yeah.
No, but yeah, so much to get into. Glad we got Ham Solo here and Silent Cypher here today. Man, we're going to get into some stuff, so let's do this.
Well, let's get right into it, Ham. The top 25 games that are on PSN. Now, this story was originally dropped by Tweaktown. That is Derek Strickland. He is the owner and operator of that website. Everyone ran with it. I saw a story from Windows Central, from Jez Corden. I saw Tom Warren report on it as well. There were quite a few others. I saw Game Rant do a story. And they were basically reiterating what Derek said. Now, everyone knows that Tweaktown, they're a PlayStation site. That's what they do. I don't always agree with Derek. I think he has some really, really bad takes. This is one of the takes I think he had a really good one because he provided not an opinion, but actual numbers. So in this top 25 list, you have the usual suspects: the Fortnite, NBA 2K, MLB The Show is in there at number 4, Madden, of course, in there at number 5. Helldivers 2 still holding strong, doing great numbers for PlayStation and of course PC at number 6. EA Sports, their soccer, the FC24 is there. Apex Legends, of course, is there. Destiny 2 is there. Genshin Impact, not a surprise. That's still incredibly popular. But out of this 25 list, Microsoft owned IPs. There are 7 of them. And if you look at the pie chart, folks, and again, I'm going to blow it up for you and put it on the full screen because I like the visual effects. So give me a second while I do a quick screen.
I got a quick question real quick for you though, Boom.
Sure.
Out of all of those games, you said 25, right?
Yeah, total of 25, yes.
All right, so out of those top 25 games, how many of those are PlayStation exclusive games?
None, actually.
None.
Yeah, none.
That whole coveted, like they gotta go to this quality. PlayStation has this quality bar right here, and you gotta hit this quality bar right here, and we'll make them sales like. And ain't none of them on the top, not top 10, top 25.
Top 25. No, there's nothing. There's no Spiderman. There's no Horizon. There's no God of War. None of their big bangers, as the kids like to say. The only thing that you have here that's remotely close to that is the Rise of the Ronin, which is a console exclusive, but not an IP that they own. Koei owns that, Tecmo. So no, but Grounded is there. Fallout 76 and Minecraft are there. Fallout 4 at 16 is there. Sea of Thieves at number 12. Overwatch at number 7. And Call of Duty Ham Solo at number 2.
Ain't no way, Boom. Ain't no way all that mid got there, bro. Ain't no way all that mid, Xbox mid, got in the top 25. Don't do that to him, Boom.
Yeah,
don't do that to them. I thought all the where's Spiderman at?
You know what? Let me just do a course correction because MLB The
Boom,
Show
help
is
me understand this. I'm trying to get this quality bar. Where is it at?
Look, let's get into the numbers because again, I want to make sure that I did get it wrong. So yes, MLB The Show is first party, right? Sometimes it slips in mind because it is on it's a multi-plat, so sometimes it just slips. That is made and developed by a first party studio that Sony owns, but it's a multi-plat. I think what Ham is talking about is actual console exclusives, meaning that you can only buy a PlayStation 5 to play these games, like a Spider-Man, like a Horizon.
Bar is what I'm talking about.
And none of them are there, Ham Solo. So before you go crazy, because I could feel it. I could feel the energy. It's ready to Hulk rage it out of here. We have here the distribution of the top 25, thanks to, once again, Derek Strickland of Tweaktown. He did an amazing chart. The pie chart you can see on your screen. The green is, of course, Xbox, which is the Microsoft-owned ones, takes up almost half, right? 7 of the top 25 at 28%. Sony has 5 games in there that are exclusive to their box. Helldivers, third party. Destiny, first party. Again, that's another one I missed. Apologies. Destiny is first party. That is theirs as well. The other 2, Stellar Blade, that's probably going to do much better when it officially releases. That is third party, and Rise of the Ronin is third party. But there are no console-only exclusives. But Sony does have 5 at 20%. Now, Take-Two, which is a big publisher, has 3 at 12%, followed by EA, which they have 3 at 12%. But what's interesting is that you keep saying it. How many times did we hear Ham Solo that Sea of Thieves was mid, Grounded was mid? It's just Overwatch 2. Overwatch isn't a banger anymore. Fallout 4, who plays old games? Minecraft, no one cares about blocks. And they have taken over PSN. Let's hear your take on this, man.
So, I mean, I think it's mad funny, right? Because the whole thing about the PS2, when that came out ages ago, was it was taking over the front room and making people ignore the PC whole thing, right? And that was the whole reason Xbox was made in the first place, because they were like, yo, you're not going to take everybody away. You're not going to build a PC for the TV and call it good, right? And I just find it wild how Microsoft, a piece of candy, Sony's ass all the way back to PC. They let them think that they had a direction, that they knew where they were going, and here PlayStation is now. They're like, wait a second, we putting all our games on the place that we was trying to take out. Now we gotta work with the ops. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. And all these people are out here saying, oh, Microsoft giving all the games over to Sony. Meanwhile, MLB The Show coming to Xbox. Destiny still coming to Xbox because Sony needs the money.
Yeah.
And then, let's not forget about Marathon, folks. Let's not forget that one. Yep. What's the difference between Marathon and a Destiny to a Fallout and like a Sea of Thieves or something like that? There's no difference. There's no difference at all. The only difference is Microsoft making buku money on your platform, and you ain't really making shit on our platform. That's a problem. It's not a good look. But to see all these games do phenomenal, and shout out to Helldivers too. They deserve to be up there. I mean, Helldivers is a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
A phenomenal game. But to see all these old games around it, hanging out. How you doing, Minecraft? It's been years. Sea of Thieves. I thought you were terrible. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Grounded. I thought you were a super small mid game.
Yeah, mid. Yeah, that's what they said. Yep.
All these games are supposed to be garbage or fodder for Game Pass, and Game Pass is supposed to be the fodder factory, right? It's supposed to be the fodder factory, Game Pass. You know the thing that everybody, welfare pass, whatever you want to call it. All that negativity. I find it ironic that it got your box over there jumping. That fodder, that garbage, that trash is what y'all really interested in. Cut the cap, because it's not trash. It's just good. It's a good game that you didn't want to acknowledge because it wasn't on your box. Just keep it a buck.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And now y'all got it, and you guys can't make up excuses fast enough for your fans. You can't. It is what it is, brother. I'm just happy to sit back and watch the show just fall apart. All these narratives are just falling apart, and it's like it's music to my ears, brother. It really
so you just like watching the PlayStation world burn.
I mean, it's not even the PlayStation world burn. It's stupid people that have these wild, outrageous takes and roadmaps of what they think is going to go on and happen, and then the reality hits them, and then they got 10, 20 excuses as to why this happened to them, and it's really just nothing to look at, nothing to pay attention to, when in reality, it's just like, yo, third place is on your ass. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, listen, third place in console sales, sure, but when it comes again, the money. Look, I don't make a dime from Microsoft. I don't get free controllers. I'm a fan. It's my box of choice. It's fine. But ultimately, when you hear these list wars that are on the socials, yes, Sony sells a lot of consoles. You know what? They've been doing that shit for generations. They did it in the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2. They eventually did it with the PlayStation 3 because they kept it around way longer after the launch of the PlayStation 4, and people still bought a 3, right? It was cheap, like $100, $150. So they eventually they overtook the 360. They sell a lot of consoles. That is their bag. That's what they do. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, sir.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
In the circumstances we're in the world we're in consoles right now, because everyone continues to bring up the console sales, the hardware sales, and everything. Does it really matter that much anymore in the fact that I can pull my phone out and I can play all my Xbox games that they're on Game Pass right now, and eventually the whole library is what they're aiming for.
Your whole library, the one that you purchased, will be available. Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if I can pull out my ROG Ally while I'm just sitting there, waiting for my daughter's play practice to be over, or if I can pull out the tablet and I can sit there and play on there, or I can play it everywhere. Like, I understand that people are still bent on this idea about the consoles dropping in sales, but look ahead of you, right? Like, that's not where everything's staying anymore. Like, the consoles are great, and there will, for at least the foreseeable future, there will still be a place where that's a real thing for people. But the fact that you can access these games on pretty much everything that has a screen at this point, I feel like it's really disingenuous when people come out there and are like, yeah, but they're third place in hardware sales, man. Those systems just aren't selling. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Things are different now. Things have changed. And
it's funny when you said it doesn't matter. I felt like Rock was going to come into and kick in the door and say, it doesn't matter, right? The evil Rock. No, you're onto something. But you know what? Let's talk about this. What's interesting, gentlemen and chat, is yesterday, or it was the day before, Rare announced that Sea of Thieves has surpassed 40 million players without PlayStation or Switch. And just based on the fact that a couple of weeks ago in the top 10 most wanted games, Sea of Thieves in Europe took up 3 slots for all 3 versions. Here in the Americas, it took up 2 slots, right? The most pre-ordered game. What we've learned, and what it's easy to see, is that the people that Ham Solo were referring to are the loudest, but they're also the minority. They're a small group. They're the 10%ers. They're like us. Like we are diehard Xbox guys. We're 10%ers, right? That's who we are. We appreciate the industry. We play other games on other systems, but we're Xbox guys, and that's fine. Sony guys, the ones out there that are making the videos, they're doing the podcast, just like we're doing this morning, they have a very skewed way of thinking that their ideology is buy box, play game on box, and that's the way the closed world garden. That's not the industry, and that's why a lot of these guys are having meltdowns where they're talking about, I'm leaving PlayStation altogether. Well, then you're dumb. If you're going to leave a platform that you invested thousands and thousands of dollars, probably digitally, you're just going to upend and leave. That's just ridiculous talk. But let's talk about this top 25. I think there is something to really be said about Microsoft, and there is a subtle thing that they're doing here, right? PlayStation, number 1, right? They're number 1 in console sales. They're the market leader, right? Microsoft has 7 games in their top 25. You know why this makes sense? Because Microsoft is not done investing. And there are a lot of people that think there's a big publisher coming. Now, maybe not this year. I think they're going to do a bunch of little deals. They get the IO Interactives, maybe get the Asobos, maybe reach out and bring in Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal in-house. Little things. But if you would, and I said this yesterday, if you would have asked me 5 years ago and literally came back to the future and said, "Hey, listen, 5 years from now, Microsoft's going to buy Activision," I'd have mushed you in your face and said, "Get out of here, kid. You bother me," because I'd have been like, "This just ridiculous. What are you talking about? They're going to buy Activision? You're crazy." And now there's talk about, well, they take two, Epic, right? All ridiculousness. But if they can prove to regulators, a year from now, 2 years from now, hey, look, our games are everywhere. You can literally play any game on any console, available everywhere. PC, Switch, PlayStation, our service, it's everywhere. Play it on your refrigerator, you can do it. There's not going to be much pushback because they're not going to take over the industry because their games are everywhere.
Exactly.
This is a perfect example of times a changing. Let's talk about it. Yeah, that you Cypher.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, my bad. I got wrapped up in what you were saying. But no, those are the facts, right? It's like you can play your games all over the place. It doesn't have to be locked to a system anymore. And there are people that still hold on to it. And people aren't going to appreciate it, but I would say, like, you mentioned the fact that the pillars shouldn't become multi-plat. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that with one to test the waters. And I mean, it could blow up in their faces, but I wouldn't be surprised because at the end of the day, there are people that hold the purse strings when it comes to the money bags on this. And they look at it and they say, hey, you know what? Gears of War or whatever is sitting there isn't making as much money as it was there for a while. What if we kick this over? We could get a little extra dough off of this and we could see how it could go. It's always a possibility. The reason I bring up something like Gears is because we know back in PS3 days, there was a Gears of War version that was created that never came out. So there's been that path in the past. They've worked with the hardware before. I don't want it to happen, but at the same time, like money folks are going to look at this and be like, hey, how can we get more money from the IP? So I'm just saying, like, if it happens, brace yourself, because like something like this, I think, is likely at some point in time, especially considering how old some of those games are. If they want to try and get some more revenue off of it, I could see it. Do I think it's the right move? No. Will people vote with their wallet? Will people be very vocal about it? Yes. But I think in the market we're in now, again, it goes back to, if you can have your game accessible across all the different systems, they get all that money back for it. And that's just cash in pocket for them. So I think if we saw something else go like that, it wouldn't surprise me. But I will say on the other side, just to kind of balance it out, if we saw something of Sony's shift over to Microsoft's side of house, that also would not surprise me if we started seeing more of those go multi-plat.
I have a theory, sir. We were talking in the green room. Again, it's a razor's edge, madman kind of take, but I'll give that to you at the end of the when we segue into the next one. But look, you're right. The money, when Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard King, it became, now it's serious because they borrowed Papa's money in the form of $70 billion. Right? That's money. More money than 1,000 of us will see in 1,000 lifetimes. Yeah. And they got to make, obviously the investors want that ROW, return on, or ROI, I should say, return on investment. But it's, for me, I think maybe you were right about a Gears or a Forza or a Gears, or Halo going over. I think that any of those ideas have been put to the side after what happened with the community. I think the community spoke with their hearts. The community is, I've said this before, I stand by it. The Xbox community is still fractured. We need some, I'm always going to be positive. My glass is always going to be half full. So no matter what they do, I'm going to try and be positive about it. I'm never going to be doom and gloom because, I'm still winning because Xbox Game Pass exists in my household. If that was taken away, this would be a different conversation. But great points all around. Anything you want to add, Silent Cypher?
No, that's it. I knew that would probably hit a couple people in the feels, maybe in chat and just out and about. But I mean, the
No,
thing
you're
is,
being
it's
honest.
like,
There's nothing wrong with being honest. And you know something? There is a chance of that. But I think what
yeah,
happened where there was this uproar and this outright just complete 180 from a lot of the diehard Xbox fans. I know that we're the loudest. I know that we're still a minority, but we also help drive the brand. And if you disenchant your fans by doing greedy, effed up moves, you're gonna eventually lose.
I guess,
And
I guess the only thing that I'll say to end off my piece on it is, money folks don't usually care what your opinion is.
I know.
If you're the minority.
Yeah, I know.
And that sucks, but it is what it is, and it is business. Hopefully they did learn from this last decision of theirs, and hopefully we don't see a return to that cadence. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something eventually. And I'm not saying like even in the immediate future, but maybe in a year or two. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Fuzzy Belvedere, brother. Okay, so let's talk numbers. The top 25 came out. 7 of those 25 are Microsoft-owned IPs. That list could grow depending on what Microsoft continues to put in there. Obviously, Fallout 76 and Fallout 4 are due to the TV series, which, of course, I think really does beckon the conversation of, well, Microsoft, let's get going. You got IPs. Let's put let's get some of that transmedia money that's left on the table. But this is interesting. And you know what? Ham Solo actually said it. There is a lot of copium on the interwebs. A lot of people are in their feels over this. And you know what? Microsoft is just doing their thing. And what's interesting is a lot of these games, like Ham said, oh, but I thought these were mid. Oh, I thought that these. You know what? I think this list does tell you that the casual audience on PlayStation, well, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. I called 85% of PlayStation 5 owners casuals. And I don't think I'm wrong. Now, if you want to be a little, give a 5%er one way or the other, 90% or 80%, that's up to you. I'm calling it's 85% of PlayStation 5 owners. They are the casual audience. And there's nothing wrong with being a casual gamer. But that's why you see this list the way it is. Let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, looking at the top 10, it's kind of obvious that it's more of the casual games that, like, the sports games are going to always be within the casuals' reach. Same thing with shooters. So having Call of Duty and Fortnite up there, totally explains it. What gets me is that there's none of their, big titles that had transmedia stuff in relation to whether you want to talk about Spiderman or even The Last of Us, which had a recent series. It's not even charting still. Maybe that's because they canceled factions or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
That would have made more, that gives more credence to why they probably should have released it and then built it, along with the community from that point forward, as opposed to just, throwing all that money, time, and resources away and canceling it or shelving it or whatever they call themselves doing. But I'm looking at games like Roblox, which just recently came to the platform within a year. And it's a free-to-play game, and it's already, midway in that list. But the fact that, Sea of Thieves, new to that platform, is outdoing Destiny goes to show that even when they own some of these, bigger IPs, they're not supporting them. Like they always talk about support the devs, and it doesn't really look like they're supporting their own devs. Like, yeah, MLB is up there. It's a sports game. And, we've heard more recently that more people on Xbox play it than people on PlayStation. So it's kind of funny that, it's charting as well as it does because, hey, you have to pay the full 70 over there as opposed to just your subscription price over at Xbox. But things like Rainbow Six Siege, that's another one that's in Game Pass. It's just the cost of your subscription, and it's still charting well. And a lot of people always talk about, at least on Team Blue, that, Game Pass is killing the industry. I mean, obviously it's still selling on your platform, so Game Pass isn't affecting it negatively in any way, shape, or form. But just seeing Fallout on here with the recent series, Minecraft, which that's a juggernaut in and of itself. And yes, Sony tried to kind of handicap it to some extent because they didn't want to have the whole Xbox login, which I guess they eventually caved in on as far as being able to get the updates and whatnot. But no, I think this list is real telling as far as their community. And sure, they can argue about the whole PC day and date and all that stuff, but Helldivers would not. I don't even think Helldivers would still be in existence on that platform if it was just on PlayStation 5. I mean, hey, perfect example. Hey, where's Foam Stars? Anyone see Foam Stars? Oh,
No.
Stars on here? No, not on the list. So it's like when a multiplayer game is only on their platform, it seems like it pays heavily in the sense of it doesn't quite move the needle, and then the servers get shut down. I think that even happened with a couple of Square's games that they made, or at least one of them that they made exclusively for PlayStation that, I don't even think it lasted 3 months, but yeah.
You know what's not on that list also? Can I add some context to what you're saying, if you don't mind? A lot of people, a lot of people in the chat are mentioning this. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Nowhere. Nowhere to be found.
Well, I mean, that's hopefully this is a lesson learned.
I thought they were actually good.
Well, they've already prepared that we're disappointed with the sales email before they even released it. So we all knew that this thing wasn't going to do as well as the original remake did. So the spacing in between, the enthusiasm for it died, and then a lot of people probably had a bad taste in their mouth from Final Fantasy 16 changing its formula a little bit more than what people may have wanted. Square and this whole Sony deal is kind of dragged that IP through the mud to some extent, and it's nowhere to be found. Which it's kind of funny. I would have expected it at least see Final Fantasy 14 on here, which that's a multiplayer game that they should be eating up like candy, and they're not. I mean, you still have these free to play, which I wish Hoyoverse was available on Xbox, but Sony money hat and stuff like usual. You got Genshin Impact, which is tracking better than Stellar Blade, at least on pre-orders. We'll see how Stellar Blade does once it's fully released. And then you got Honkai Star Rail up there as well, above Stellar Blade. So we'll see how much Stellar Blade makes it up the list when it eventually releases. But Dragon's Dogma is on there, so that goes to show that probably ate all of Final Fantasy's lunch. But yeah, it's just interesting to see that most of the games are from Microsoft, and with what you guys were talking about earlier, as far as Microsoft possibly acquiring another publisher, if they acquire either Take-Two or EA, they have more than half the list at that point. So it's like, Sony's got to figure out something, especially with these, games as a service. Like, and I joked about this before, even though I'm not a fan of the games from Xbox going over there, but it's like, it's almost like a devious plan to put Sea of Thieves over there. One, you kind of killed the sales for Skull and Bones, but two, you're actually putting a games as a service game that's outpacing the one they actually own. Think about that for a minute. It's actually outpacing Destiny 2. Maybe it's not as old as Destiny as a series, but it's definitely older than Destiny 2, and it's tracking better. So it's like, the people that they bought to teach them how to do games as a service are getting outpaced by somebody that most people made fun of the game because, the Kraken is lacking because it doesn't have, a body under the water or whatever. It's like, come on. Like, but I mean, it's a full game now, and it's got plenty of content. Like, whether you want to do the single player stuff, whether you want to do the multiplayer with PvP or just the PvE aspect, it's an appealing game that obviously people are looking forward to. And I kind of joke, when people were saying, what's the game that the PS5 Pro can highlight? Obviously Sea of Thieves. We all remember how highly praised the water was. Just imagine what the PS5 Pro can make that water look like. But no, in all seriousness, it's great to see Xbox doing what it's doing on the PlayStation Store. I don't want to see any other titles go, kind of like what Silent Cypher is saying, but would not be surprised. And my other devious plan would be to put Forza Horizon 5 on there, well before Forza Horizon 6 is on there. So that way you build up that excitement over there, because they don't have an arcade racer beyond Need for Speed. I mean, they killed Drive Club within a couple of years of it releasing. So why not put an
Man,
arcade racer there that kind of gets everybody fervoring for it and be like, you know what? I want to play that 6, because it doesn't seem like they're going to put 6 over here anytime soon. So let me go ahead and pick up a Xbox Series S, or, play it on my browser through Game Pass or whatever the case may be. But that's one that it's almost at 40 million players already. What's another, 5 or 10 million?
Those ponies would be hate playing that game so hard. So hard. Oh.
Yeah, but they'll be enjoying themselves, and it'll be a different experience for them, because they haven't had their own in-house arcade racer in quite a while. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, the last really good one that they had was a PlayStation 3 launch title, and that's one of my favorite racers of all time. What is the name of it? Oh my god, why am I having a brain fart live on the air?
Oh, Motorstorm.
Motorstorm, yes. My god, what a phenomenal
6-axis control.
Dude, I would actually, honestly,
6-axis wasn't that great, but
6-axis was awful.
Cool. That was cool.
But I would say this, and I hate saying it because I admit that I'm a part of the problem. I'd rebuy that game for the PS5. Like I would. Like that's a game like I would cap for that game, because that is one of my favorite racers. That's like up there with Burnout 3 for me personally. Just amazing. And I would definitely rebuy that. But we have a lot to get into, because Todd Howard had a big statement regarding Starfield. Obviously, we're going to talk about Fallout, the Fallout phenomenon, if you will. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, and Ham Solo, I'm not sure if you're ready for this, sir, but here we go. I had a theory.
Ready.
I've talked about this. I've said it. It's madness. I know that the likelihood of what I'm about to say coming to Xbox is probably slim to none and slim left town. It's fine. And if I get the L for it, so be it. But when we're talking about money, well, that changes the conversation. So, and again, this works both ways. The money conversation, the money people, the Amy Hood of the world for Xbox and for Microsoft are probably some of the reasons why we saw some of these games go over to PlayStation, specifically Hi-Fi Rush, right? That's a money person decision. Well, this is the madness. I have a feeling that we are months away from Sony announcing that they're going to release Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales for Xbox. I don't have this on good authority. I know people in the chat are probably throwing the virtual tomatoes. I hear you. It is madness. I admit that it is madness. But here is why I think it's going to happen. 2018 is 6 years old, right? It's sitting there. It's not even in PlayStation Plus. They took it out when Spider-Man 2 was coming out so they can make people buy this triple pack. That's what Sony does. They nickel and dime their community. It's literally sitting there doing nothing, right? Game is 6 years old. Miles Morales, the follow-up, I think came out a year later. That's about 5 years old. Both amazing games, no pun intended. But when you consider that Hiroki Totoki is looking for ways to make money for Sony, which they are bleeding money left, right, and center. They are starving for money. He's a money guy. He is the Amy Hood of Sony. And now he's wearing two hats. And he's got to figure out a way to make actual money on software, not console sales, because they're not making a whole bunch of money. In the same conversation, Ham Solo, didn't Disney just up their pricing to 35% take? Yeah, they did. So that's why even EA, the big bad EA, was like, yeah, we're going to kind of not release as many Marvel games and Star Wars games, and we're going to kind of tap in to our own IPs, which is great for me because that means that Titanfall 3 is probably going to get greenlit, and I'm very excited for that. But one other thing, Ham Solo, that, of course, let's talk money. Look at the opening story. Microsoft has 7 games in Sony's top 25 games on their PlayStation Network. 7. You don't think Sony's looking saying, if we put out a Spider-Man that's optimized for the Series X and the Series S, they could easily, and I'm throwing this out there to the ether, they'll get 10 million sales on that. You put a double pack for $70, 10 million people on Xbox are going to buy this game. I'm telling you right now, it is going to sell like hotcakes. It is going to be in Microsoft's top 10, whatever month it comes out, and may even last further than that. Ham Solo, am I walking the razor's edge of madness, or do you agree, sir?
It does sound insane in the sense of like Sony exclusive IP that is like one of their like main things that are like helping them continue to, you know, pump out games for Insomniac and whatnot. It seems insane in that aspect to where it's like this is like supposed to be a coveted thing of their own, almost like a I don't know, like trying to compare it to something on Microsoft, like because they are technically not using their own IP, they're using somebody else's, so it's kind of hard to compare with something on Microsoft because Microsoft uses a lot of their own stuff. But in your kind of way of putting it all together and saying, yo, they're bleeding money, they got Microsoft taking money out of their pockets, essentially,
right now,
or using IP that's attractive to their audience to take money from other, you know, IPs that could be possibly getting purchased on the Sony brand. I think you may be onto something a little bit, because I'm just thinking, you know, how else would you fight? You know, how else would you fight back? And here's my kind of loophole to making that work as to where Sony doesn't have to say that they're putting it on Xbox, but Xbox gamers are getting it.
Say, go with it, brother. I know it. I know the angle you're going.
As soon as that sucker turns into a PC, then Sony doesn't have to market it to Xbox fans. They could just say, hey, it's available on PC. And if Xbox is a PC console at that time, you know, like a PC platform at that time, then you're just able to do it. And there's nothing that they could do about it.
Very true.
There's nothing that they could do about it. So, I mean, and to me, that is exactly Sony's tactics. Is they want to be able to get that bag and whatnot from other places, but they don't want to have that shame of coming out and just saying it, right? So what they would do is that sneaky tactic of, oh yeah, Xbox gamers, you can get it, you can buy it and whatnot, but we ain't gonna tell everybody you can get it on Xbox. We're gonna tell everybody you can get it on PlayStation and PC,
right?
But Xbox is PC.
Well, it certainly looks like that's the route that they're going. That is for sure.
I mean, you might be cooking just because it's like one of those things, almost like the Eclipse, right? It's like it just got to line up right. It just got to line up right, and if it lines up once right, then you're cooked. Then you're cooked. Don't stare straight at it. You can go blind. You're cooked. But I'd love to see that happen because, I mean, look at the way gaming's going now. Like when you look at content creators and you look at like, you know, my kid, your kids, and whatnot, how are they accessing games and stuff like that? First of all, they don't care how they access the game. Second of all, their way of really wanting to get into gaming and follow other people that do streaming and stuff like that is PC now. PC is now that popular brand that all the kids want to get. I mean, it's wild how like the last couple years for around Christmas time, you'll see like people unwrapping their Christmas gift and it's like an Xbox or it's a PlayStation and the kid's mad and they're like, I wish it was a PC.
Oh my God, I remember that. Yeah, that's a terrible video. And that's a spoiled child. I would have got an ass whooping the size of Texas if I did that to my mama. She'd have been like, oh, you want PC? Everything would have been returned. I had no Christmas.
That's the swag though right now, right? It's PC. Like you go to watch Aiden Ross, PC. You go to watch Kai Cenat, PC gaming. Sure, they might give away a PlayStation, but they ain't playing on it. You know what I'm saying? That like all these people out here now that are like big time streamers and stuff like that, they're all PC gamers.
Yeah.
So that's where the kids are going to be followed. And if they can't do that, then they're just going to play however they can. So whether it is a freaking tablet, or if it's a PlayStation or an Xbox or whatever, a phone, they don't care. As long as they can, I mean, shoot, they don't even need a controller. These people are insane. They're okay with using touch screens, which I could never do, dog.
No, I couldn't do it either.
I could never do. These kids are out of their minds. But you know, hey, if that's how they want to access it and that's how they want to do it, then by God, do what you got to do.
Yeah, no, good. I mean, good. Listen, good stuff all around. I thought the angle you were going to go was what I'm going to add, which I'm going to bring to Silent Cypher now is that. What about the Marvel angle? What if Marvel pulls an MLB The Show and be like, listen, you're not just making enough money. Spider-Man, you got some IPs. You're borrowing our IP. You're paying for it, sure. But you can make a whole lot of money. What if they force their hand? Because obviously Sony was holding the strings, Silent Cypher, when the whole MCU thing with Tom Holland being pulled out of the MCU, and I really think that was one of the driving forces of making this Insomniac game be exclusive. I really do think that that's where it stood from, but I could be wrong. And like I said, I'm probably 1,000% wrong about Spider-Man coming to Xbox. But I think that let's not talk about what happened last year or 5 years ago. Let's look at what the forecast is of gaming right now. Studios are closing, consistent layoffs left, right, and center, more in the first 60 days of 2024 than all of 2023, right? Stories coming out where both Epic and Xbox Game Pass, the deals are drying up, right? Everyone is tightening the belt. There is a recession going on. Nobody wants to admit that there's a recession. There is one, okay? And Sony, they need money. Sony is being led by Hiroki Totoki, who is a money person. That is what he does. Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales, old games that Jim Ryan said that nobody wants to play. I'll tell you this. You launch a double pack optimized for Series X and Series S. It is going to sell 10 million copies. 10 million copies at $70. Well, just do the math, folks. And that is money that Sony could use. Now, of course, being it going to Xbox, 30% of that would go to Microsoft, and they'd be happy to take it. But 70% of that would go back to the coffers of PlayStation on old games that they are not doing anything with. Now, do I honestly believe that there's a God of War or Horizon around the corner for Xbox? Absolutely not. I think that is preposterous. But Spider-Man is not an owned IP. It is a licensed IP. And that's the difference. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking very different things there, right? Like you said, those are ones that are Sony brands. Those are Sony IPs. Spider-Man, though, that gets into an interesting conversation because of the rights and because of everything that's going on right now, right? Like Disney has very much been like, hey, we'll let you make a Marvel game or whatever you want, like anything you want, that's fine, but we get ours, and you are more than welcome to make a game. Like we are going to see a lot of games across all the different dev studios in the next couple of years coming from them. Like there's a lot of Marvel related stuff, a lot of Disney tied items that are out there in the market, and I think I could see something happen with Spider-Man, but I think if Spider-Man were to come to the Xbox ecosystem in some form or fashion, I think the closest we would see is a PC version of it, not a console version.
Interesting.
And
kind of like what happened with Forspoken.
Death Stranding.
Oh, there you go. Death Stranding.
Same
yes.
type of thing. Like I could see a world where they'd put it on PC because it's easier for them to justify it, and it's easier for ponies to be like, oh, well, that doesn't count. That's PC. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. But I could see it. I could see it on PC. Now, the other thing that I will say tied to all this is keep in mind that Microsoft now has a handful of Spider-Man games. They're sitting there for back compat from back in 360 days. I bet you we will see those coming back in one of these drops to Game Pass. And that's going to end up being a deal between Microsoft directly with them on allowing Spider-Man to be back on that console. But again, it's like you said, and it's like we've been talking about, right? Like the money people, they're the ones that are going to be leading this conversation. So if Sony, if Disney, if they want some extra money from this, Microsoft can drop a bag and be like, hey, we've got these games. We just got to get the rights squared away. Can we put these on
it's
here?
interesting. Those two, there was a couple of them, but the first two Spider-Man games by Beanox were freaking amazing, pun intended. Yeah. They were phenomenal. As a matter of fact, it's one of the first games that they did the multiverse, because you're playing different Spider-Man across different timelines, and it was really, really good. Now, those games, they're dated. I guarantee if you put them on a 360 now, they would look not that great. But with the Xbox, with Sarah Bond saying that they're backwards compatibility, they have an entire team. Maybe they go back and they clean these couple of games up. They give them 4K, they give them 60 frames, they give them 120 frames, and it looks amazing. And yeah, it's not Insomniac's games, but it's still a Spider-Man game, and both those games were excellent. And Activision did publish those games.
And Microsoft ends up winning a little bit of the favor in that situation. They win some of the mind share, because even if they don't get the new Spider-Mans, they get to be like, but we have Spider-Man on our system and you can suck it, because now we've got your boy on our system. And even though, again, it doesn't matter if it's the new games, if it's Spider-Man on an Xbox, that will mess with some people's minds, and that will get them thinking that like maybe this is going to happen. And if the feedback is well received, if those games do well, if they start charting again, I think it pushes even more for them to try and get those newer games in. And again, not on console. I think PC is the only path forward they have for that. But I could see it happening in that situation.
I mean, the PC route, like Ham Solo was saying, and you're saying, they make sense. But we cannot deny that even though Microsoft doesn't have 56,000 consoles they can tout like Sony can with the PS5, they're still about 30 or 35. I said million. 35 million Series S and X consoles. Right now, a lot of those console players, especially the ones that bought Series S, well, they're casuals. And I think you're going to see a tremendous migration when Call of Duty drops into Game Pass. I think this year is going to be so telling that once Microsoft, and they have the marketing fully, and they're slapping that Call of Duty on the box, it is going to move the casual audience potentially to maybe away from PS5, because their money is now going to be worth way more because of Game Pass. And like I said, I can see a fall where there is a $200 Series S with Call of Duty on the box, kind of like Sony did in, I think it was, what was it? Was it 2019? Might have been 2019 when they did the Spider-Man $200 edition with Spider-Man 2018, and it broke records unlike anything before it. But Fuzzy, what's interesting is, I know this is a crazy play of mine, and I listen, if I get the L, it's fine, not a problem. But we're talking about a company that needs money. And what's interesting is this. If it's okay for Microsoft to put their games on PlayStation, what is stopping PlayStation from putting an older game or an older pair of games that are going to be guaranteed sellers on the Xbox? There isn't anything. The only thing is fans are going to be crying. Fans are going to be disappointed. The same fans that were like Xbox fans, like we all are, that were in our fields when they were putting these games over. It's going to happen to PlayStation. I think it's a possibility. Do I think it's a definite? No. I do understand that I am walking a razor's edge of madness, but I think I have really put a good case together. What are your thoughts on this?
For some games, it definitely makes sense. Like in the grand scheme of things, I think something like a Helldivers 2, even though yes, it's well supported on PC already, it fits the genre that seems to do better on Xbox. So I would say it's a worthwhile venture for their part. I would say you could probably get at least a couple more million people into that ecosystem or into that game. Which at that point, maybe it becomes more of a console war challenge where it's like who's charting better, the PS players or the Xbox players. Figure that probably the PC will probably chart better just because of the keyboard and mouse aiming or things along those lines. But overall, I think a game like that, because it's more of a co-op that's PvE without PvP, it might be a better one to at least test the waters with. As far as any of their future gas games, like what was it, Fair Game or Concord, whenever we find out if it's something beyond the fast food delivery or whatever it might be, those would probably definitely be worthwhile for them to check out on Xbox itself. And I do agree some of those games will probably only come across as PC games, since there's a good bit of their PlayStation catalog games already on Steam. So if this integration of getting Steam or access to the Steam store on an Xbox becomes a reality, then that would be the best course of action. Like you're buying the PlayStation game on Steam. Yeah, you may not get trophy support or whatever the case may be, but you get the game still. They get a cut of the money. Steam gets a cut of the money, and then depending on how the deals worked out with Microsoft, they'd likely get a cut of the money as well. So everybody wins at that point. But moving forward, I honestly wish that they bothered to see the whole thing through when it came to that Spider-Man multiplayer game, or even Factions for that matter. Not saying that those would have to come to Xbox directly, but even if it just came to PC, and once again, if anything is to show how well Forspoken and Death Stranding, the first one, was as far as being in the Microsoft PC store, I would say it's at least a worthwhile venture to at least try those over there. See if you get 1 million purchases or something to that effect. And if so, then continue that process moving forward. But they first have to, I guess, at least get comfortable making gas games. Like that's their biggest hindrance right now. Without a gas game that's going to appeal to their own player base, I mean, they might as well just be a third party for gas games at that point, and put them everywhere else but their platform, because it doesn't seem like their platform seems to either care to or as interested in them. But they definitely seem to be interested in Xbox gas games. So who knew? But I think we see something come over. I would love if Marvel pushed the envelope as far as the licensing, but then again, the repercussions would be then we would see things like possibly Blade or Indiana Jones be pushed as well. But no, it's Sony wants money. There's money to be had over on the Xbox platform, and if the Steam integration works, there'll be even more money to be had at that point. So it's up to them to say yes to money or say no to money, and it seems like Hiroki Totoki is all about saying yes to money. So we'll see how it goes.
Indeed. I mean, again, it's tremendous hypotheticals here, folks. It is not a definite. I haven't heard anything. No one has heard anything. I'm just saying that the way the world is now, where everyone is trying to take money out of your wallet, this is a way for Sony to get a very quick hit of millions of dollars. Is it likely? No, not really. But it was a fun conversation nonetheless. Ham, I want to go to you next, brother, because obviously you got to get out of here in a few, but I do want to talk.
I still got like 45.
Okay, excellent. I want to talk about a story that was brought to our attention thanks to Hazador Gaming. Now, Hazador Gaming is an amazing community member on X or Twitter. He consistently puts out excellent pieces of not only his opinion, but gaming news. Now, he put out a tweet yesterday that got a lot of people excited because guess what, folks? Starfield, still a thing. People are still enjoying it. People are still beating it. People are still finding it for the first time. And we are on the cusp. We don't know how soon, but Shattered Space DLC should be at least shown off at the June show, which is a couple of months away. And when is that going to come out? Honestly, I don't know. If they wanted to wait for the September 1 year anniversary of Starfield's release, that makes about all right. That makes sense to me anyway. But one of the things, at least for me, that I enjoyed Starfield. I put 5 days and 10 hours into it. I beat it. I really enjoyed it. I started a new game plus, and then of course I've already beaten it, and I'm gonna move on to other things because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't get a chance to play because my life was Starfield. If there was one complaint, if there was, and I know a lot of people have a long list. Some lists are really long. Some lists are really short. The traversal, having to jump all over the place is something that was, after a while, when you first play the game, you're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm all over the place. I can go anywhere I want. And then at some point, you're like, man, I kind of wish I had like a hoverboard or something to kind of just jump on it, and just kind of really, put the pedal to the metal. Well, it's a big feature that everyone has been asking for. Well, Todd Howard is out here in these streets, and he's talking about big new information that should be arriving via Bethesda soon. This is what he had to say. We're doing a lot of work, a lot of Starfield work as well. So we have some really good updates that are going to get announced soon for that game. So a lot is going on here. Now, again, it's not a confirmation that hoverboards are on the way, but he has acknowledged that there is room for improvements. We've heard some things about potential mechs being a part. Now is that going to be a thing? Well, maybe or maybe not. But Ham Solo, it makes sense for a massive update to potentially launch alongside the DLC. Now, there's no speculation of when it's going to come, but like I said, I think that it makes sense for the 1 year anniversary of Starfield in September. It is a big DLC, and it's going to move new players onto it because everyone's going to be talking about it once again. Let's get your hot take on it. If I were to ask you what you would like to see come to Starfield in the form of an update, what would that be, man?
I actually think you hit it right on the head. Traversal, because that's like one of my biggest things in video games is just how I'm able to move around and do stuff, and does it continuously feel fresh, right? And I feel like Starfield, although it is like it was my game of the year last year, flat out. Like
me too.
I put the most time into that game than any other game. I think last year, like I put at least 12 days.
Holy cow! Wow, that's amazing. Dude.
Yeah, I did. I did the playthrough. Like I did the story of Starfield at least 4 times, like the actual like whole story, and then like every other kind of like new game plus. I just like got the like went and got like the power upgrades and stuff like that each time and stuff. But one thing, that definitely got old, especially going from new game plus to new game plus to new game plus and getting upgrading my powers each time, like running to those power spots got old quick.
Yes, it did. After like the 3rd or 4th one, you're like, oh my god, yeah, the pushing around, you got to go through this one, then you got to go through that one. If you miss it, it goes somewhere else. Yeah, it got old. It got old super quick. Yep.
Yeah, so I just I'm gonna say 2 things for Starfield in particular, because you already kind of said the traversal thing, and I don't want to just piggyback off of that. I also want to say this as well. I'd like there to be more enemies.
Yes.
I want there to be more of a reason to like stay on a planet longer than I should. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fair.
I felt like some of the planets, like, although I understand that, all these planets are supposed to be like majority of planets in the universe, if not all, I mean, because we only know people here on Earth, right? So like, so that, I mean, that's all we know. But like, but like, if we could be kind of have some sort of an imagination towards it, we'd be able to understand that most planets are going to be pretty desolate, right? They're not going to have a whole lot of stuff on it, but it would still be kind of cool to fight something alien that's almost like a humanoid type of thing, right? So I'd like to see like more types of different people, whether they're humans or aliens, but something that speaks that like its own like native language and stuff like that. And I'd just like to see more um reasons to stop at some of these planets. Like I'd like a mission or like an ongoing like miscellaneous mission to be like stop this like stop this group of people from taking over this planet or whatever, and you're just at like a constant war. Or I'd like to go to a planet that's specifically just been at freaking war forever, right? And it's just like even after you're done fighting over there, there's another war that's probably going to happen, and it's just like an ongoing event that happens over and over, and it moves throughout the galaxy. Like I think something like that would be really cool, and have it be a little more a little less like basic than, oh, it's the Crimson Fleet. Like I'd like it to be like somebody else other than Crimson Fleet and House of Barun. I'd like it there to be like, it like it'd even be cool if you went somewhere and it was just like a planet full of horrible UC people, right? And they're trying to make their own type of UC or something like that. Like I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to see something like that, like a very like Democratic versus Republican kind of thing going through the UC or something, right? Where it's just like they're the same country, or they believe in taking care of the same amount of people or the same sort of people, but like it's like which belief are you more down with, and which one are you willing to fight for, and stuff like that. And I think that'd open up another kind of RPG element.
I like the picks, and they can do that because FYI, next week when the Fallout 4 update, the 4K update launches for everything, they're adding a new faction and they're adding a new mission for the Enclave, which is pretty dope, and that's free. So I'm assuming there's going to be more achievements, more things to find. So if they could do it for a game that's crazy old, I would imagine they can do that for Starfield, and I think they have. I mean, it's called Shattered Space for a reason. We're going to see where it's going to go. Your choices are obviously going to change what you're going to play, and that's going to be. I cannot wait for it. I will jump immediately back into it, and Starfield will be my life until I beat it.
Since you said 76, I'm gonna slip this in real quick. They need to do what Warframe did and make it cross-platform.
Interesting.
Or whatnot for 76, because I swear, man, it's
Yeah.
Like if they could do it for an old game like Warframe,
yes,
and Warframe has a ridiculous amount of content.
Yeah, they do
in that game. So if they could do it for that, I'd really appreciate being able to play on my console and then switch to my PC and then switch to my Steam Deck and whatnot, and still have the same character instead of my consoles. It doesn't have the same character as my PC does, and it's just a little extra frustration for no reason for me.
No, it's a great point. For instance, that's you bring up a great point, because Phil Spencer actually said it himself. He goes, "I wonder why can't," and I don't know why he's asking the question. You're the CEO of Microsoft Gaming. Make it happen. You're number one. Where PC Fallout 76 doesn't play with PC with Xbox Fallout 76. Weird. They should be all over the place. So it's fine. It's fine. I mean, again, it's something maybe because he said it's going to get done. Maybe they're working on it. They should. But again, and we've seen a huge resurgence on that game, specifically numbers on Steam that they've never had before. So yeah, great for them. Silent Cypher. Let's talk about it, man. Todd Howard, a lot of people were hoping that they'd have more updates for Starfield. I think that the one that he's referring to is the big one. It's the one that's going to add a lot of content, a lot of fixes in regards to some of the bugs that are still out there. Making it easier for traversal is tip of the spear for me personally. I don't know how they do it. I'd like some sort of and I know it sounds stupid, a hoverboard or something to move you along quicker to get to the way you want to go. Because for me, when you first start Starfield, and I think this is for everybody, you're so blown away that you're in space and you're playing this amazing new Bethesda IP that you're just jumping around and you're going everywhere and you're checking every nook and cranny. You're finding every resource. You're taking pictures of animals. You're finding every flower you can find, and you're trying to 100% the planet. And after you do that once, then you start doing it again. It gets a little long in the tooth. And then by the time you've done it 10 times, you're not really looking over the planet and you're missing a lot of stuff. But if there was a way that you could really look and get there quick, I think more people would spend more time on the planets finding very unique things that you will ultimately miss because you're like, I'm kind of over this a bit. So I think that should be one of the updates. I hope it is anyway. Let's talk about it.
No, I agree 100%. Is like, that's one of the things that I think bounced me off of going to visit some of those different areas. As much as I was maybe interested in initially, is just like I landed on a planet and like there was a cool mission or something, and I looked out like miles out one way. I was like, oh, that looks really cool. That looks like there might be something there. So I ended up like trekking out there, which I think it took like 10-15 minutes for me to hoof it all the way over. And I got over there and guess what? There wasn't a damn thing. There wasn't a thing.
There wasn't shit. That's what he wanted to say. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
And it frustrated me because I was like, dude, it's a missed opportunity.
And did it take 20 minutes to get there?
It took, to go
problem.
To have a round trip of like a half hour to go try and find this thing and find that there was nothing whatsoever. That sucked. Like the landscape, everything looked amazing, but it draws away from the exploration when you don't have a good means of doing it in a timely fashion. And I agree. Like I think there should be some sort of like little, I don't know, like reminds me of like those little speeders, the land speeders that they use in Star Wars when they're in the forest scene, right? Like give me something like that. Throw me something like what you see in Destiny, one of those like cycles. Give me something like that so I at least have a way to kind of maneuver those areas faster. Because if I go way the hell out there and I won't even get like some ammo when I get to this like unique looking setting, that sucks. Like it makes it hard to drive people to look around and explore and experience the entire planet if you don't have a way to traverse it fast. So yeah, that would be definitely one of my preferred things as well. I think that's kind of the main thing, is just like that's one that bothers me a bit. I think the transition from like planet up to space to another planet, I feel like that's a little jarring, a little bit janky. They could maybe make that a little bit smoother. And it's not like you have to make a whole new game to do that. I think there are ways that they could just kind of like slip it together a little bit, or maybe add more of those portions into the loading so you're not dealing with sitting there in like 7 different sections just to go from one planet to another. So I don't know, like things like that, like quality of life enhancements and stuff are the main thing I'm more interested in. If there's some more content or something, that would be great. If they could find a way to like automate a system to like kick loot kind of all over the different planets and at least kind of vary up some of the offerings or that you can find.
Yep.
Something like that would be really cool. It would at least add kind of just some new, fresh, like breath of fresh air type of scenario to adventuring through those different planets. So that's the type of stuff I want. But yes, yeah, that's where I'm at. But to say you guys were talking about the Fallout 76 thing with the cross save and stuff. I also I want that too, because I just jumped back into 76 after the guys were pestering me about it. And I was like, man, this would be perfect on my ROG Ally. But when I found that you don't have that cross right now, it's like, dude, that sucks. Like,
Yeah, you're not going to start it all over again. You're just not.
no, it's a
just,
missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Phil mentioning something hopefully means that they have something in the works. And he's like, wouldn't it be great if we had that? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like maybe something is in the works. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Listen, before we bring in Fuzzy, Ham Solo, I don't know how many minutes you got left, brother.
25.
Okay, so we'll come to you on the next topic in a second. Let me, Fuzzy, if you don't mind, let me catch up on super chats. There has been a lot of them. The first message of the day, who comes from the way of Sith Lord. He has been a channel member for 2 years. Dude, that is crazy generous of you. Mrs. Boom and I truly appreciate it. He says, need to pour one out for the Arizona Coyotes NHL fans. They are losing a great team. They are moving to Utah. Hashtag Salt Lake City. Go Rangers and Bruins in the playoffs. Yeah, that sucks. I'm not a big hockey dude, but I did really enjoy Blades of Steel back in the days on the old NES. That was amazing.
Boom, I hate to interrupt you, but Plume was giving me grief earlier this morning. He's like, oh, hey, congrats on getting your own hockey team. I had no idea what the heck he's talking about.
Oh, there you
I
go.
live in Utah, so yeah, now apparently we actually have a hockey team. So go us, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I didn't even know they were moving. I had no idea. So yeah, go sports. Yeah. Hey, thank you. J-Mac drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the PlayStation casual player base continues to betray the hardcore. It's beautiful to watch them implode. Xbox World Order is in fully operational. Thanks so much, J-Mac. Simon Brandy. What's up, Simon? Welcome, as always. He drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, Fallout 4 is #1 in sales in Europe. Fallout 3 is in the top 10. Anything Fallout related should be a mic drop at the June show. Fallout 3 remaster. Yeah, we saw that in the legal documents with the whole ABK thing. That's where we learned that there's a potential Fallout 3 remake and a remake of Oblivion. I think that would be huge. It's unfortunate that based on just doing the numbers, we're probably not going to get a Fallout 5 until 2030. I just think that is so ridiculous. In fact, you know what? That's what we're going to talk about next, because I think that after the success of season 1, which was brilliant. I mean, it wasn't one episode that Mrs. Boom and I were not at the edge of our seats watching. We loved it so much so that we're probably going to watch it again. I just think that I get it. You know, the next one in line is Elder Scrolls. It's very important. It's a very important exclusive IP. And it could potentially launch with the next console, but I don't know if the world is ready to wait another 6 years for a new Fallout based on everyone playing the old stuff right now. I just think that if they announce something about a Fallout 5 or even a collaboration with Obsidian to bring a new Vegas 2, it would bring down the house. So that great point, Simon. Jacob Novick, welcome back, Jacob. Great to see you here. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Gear 6, Call of Duty Cold War, plus every Call of Duty on Game Pass is rumored to be showing up in June. If your theory is true, what if Spider-Man is shown last? Mic drop. I mean, it would be it would stop the presses, so to speak, in the gaming, in the gaming journalistic community. People would they'd be twitching. The guys would be like, PlayStation guys be twitching. They wouldn't know what to do with themselves. It would be fun to watch. It's one of those watch the world burn kind of situations. That would be fun. JD Gamer drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, question for the panel. Looks like Sony might be buying Paramount. Yeah, I saw that story last night. Should Microsoft buy WB? And how would these moves affect the gaming and movie industry? It's interesting, JD Gamer. I don't know how the Paramount being sold to Sony actually goes through because Sony Pictures is a big player in the industry. I don't know if regulators would be like, yeah, they add more control of the industry that way to them. But then again, to be fair to Sony, they're not going to keep it only on Sony TVs. It's going to be available everywhere. So I think that's how they traverse the regulators' potential questions as what they're going to do with it. I know I've seen some talk about, will that affect Halo? No, it won't. Paramount is probably going to continue to run as Paramount as they're running now. The Halo show is going to continue. Season 3 has already been greenlit, so it wouldn't affect it. It'd just be more money for Sony. But it's an interesting when you consider Sony Pictures not making a lot of money for themselves. They're just not. The money aspect of Sony proper is PlayStation. That's where they're making their bucks. So when I saw this last night, I was a little surprised because it's a big investment. If Sony were to make an investment, I thought it'd be gaming related, not content related. But again, everything is changing. Great.
The movies have been missing lately.
Yes, they've been missing a lot. I mean, just terrible. But a good point as JD Gamer. Thanks so much for that. Jacob Novik drops an additional $2 super chat and says a shadow drop may not get that big attention. Yeah, I agree. I think the shadow drop is great for the conversation that when it happens. I don't know if it has long legs afterwards. And maybe that's kind of what hurt. Like, I think of Shadow Drop. I think of Hi-Fi Rush. It was amazing. And people were like, I can't believe this. And the media didn't have an opportunity to dump on it, even though some of them did afterwards, right? They're like, this is an amazing game. It got its accolades. It didn't sell well, maybe because it was a Shadow Drop. If it had its proper, marketing campaign, maybe that changes. We'll never know. We have Dreadpool. Hey, Dreadpool. He couldn't be here today. Obviously, got stuck at work. Dreadpool, great to see you here, brother. Thanks so much for the very generous $2 super chat. Says, I want an option to play as my avatar across Xbox games. I mean, that would be interesting. I know they tried doing some stuff like that with the Xbox 360, but that would be interesting. But we miss you, brother. Hopefully, we get you back here next week. Torino Johnson in the chat. Torino, salute, brother. Thank you so much. He says this after dropping a very generous $5 super chat. Just a little support, Boom. Hey, listen, that is greatly appreciated, and we will put good use to it. So thank you so much for that, Torino. And we have here Tim the Sorcerer, who's been a channel member, folks, for 21 months. He says, just want to land on a planet. Tamro, high panel and chat. Have a great weekend. I was actually saying this to my brother. I said, wouldn't it be pretty dope if you landed on a Fallout planet?
Boom. What if you could land on a gas giant? Hear me out.
Okay. I heard the story, but please continue, sir.
Stop it. This man out of his mind.
He's getting mad. He's getting messy. Those gas giants. I heard that the floors are spongy, so that when you jump, you bounce real high. At least that's what I heard anyway. We're off the rails, folks. Apologies. And lastly, Don Otaku. Don, it's great to see you here, brother. Thank you so much for the very generous $5 super chat. And he goes on to say this. The thing Starfield really needs soon is the mod support tools to drop. Then we could get plenty of content that fills those planets while they work. I mean, that's a great point. That is a phenomenal point. The mod community you'd be able to land on a Fallout planet. I don't know if you'd be able to land on a gas giant, per se. I mean, you might be able to with the mod community, but I wouldn't bet on it. But I would say, how freaking dope would it be if you see a planet, You go to the planet, you land on the planet, and it's Tamriel, and there are dragons, and there are knights, and you're like, what the shit? I'm not leaving this planet for the rest of my life.
That'd be
And there you
amazing.
go. And there you go. You are a man out of time on a planet that has dragons, and you have a starship, and you have lasers and all kinds of futuristic weapons, and you're fighting skeletons and stuff like that. I think that I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because I'm a nerd and I love the idea. But Fuzzy, let's get your hot take on the
Be
what
funny
you
to
are-
land and get into a power suit.
Oh, dude. I mean, why not? It's the mod community. And yes, why isn't there a power armor suit available? I have one that looks like Boba Fett. Or
Oh,
like
boom!
Guy.
They should. I mean, I just thought of it. Like we were talking about different. We were talking about like a different type of life form or whatnot. Why not feral ghouls?
Oh
Yeah.
man, dude.
Yeah, buddy.
Missed opportunity is what comes to mind when you consider how well Fallout is doing. There should have been some cross pollination, at least in my opinion. I think Starfield should have gotten a Fallout 76, free DLC. Hey,
Earth is literally a Fallout.
Well, Earth is if you've been to Earth, and yeah, you can't collect the little globes, and you should go around Earth. It's crazy what's going on there, but yeah, I just think that the cross pollination is a bit of a miss. For me, I'd like to see more of it. But let's talk about the Starfield update. What do you and folks, this is the man to ask. And I'm going to tell you why he's a madman. Because Fuzzy Belvedere loved Starfield so much that he wasn't playing just one save. He wasn't playing 2 saves. He was Madman Central playing 3 different games on 3 different saves across multiple platforms. And he knew what he was doing. I just put me in the crazy house. It's fine. I've lost it. I can't tell what is night or day anymore. I can't tell which save I'm playing, but you did it, sir. What if there's someone to ask about what you want as, this big update that's expected? What exactly are you looking for?
Just 2 big bug fixes that I've experienced. So I've had to actually bump my playthroughs to 5 simultaneous because the other 2 I'm waiting for hopefully get fixed. One is, I believe it's New Atlantis, the landing zone, because of a mission where you're working with the Crimson Fleet. I made the mistake of going back to my ship or something to that effect, and it completely took away the ground on New Atlantis, at least the landing zone. The rest of the area seems fine, but the landing zone is kind of like everybody, even the NPCs, just fall through and land on, like, I guess the actual planet surface underneath where there should be flooring and stuff like that. And then there was another one where before I actually became Starborn, I went and you know how like usually when you get to a Starborn ship that lands, for whatever reason, the Starborn didn't come out right away. So I went and messed with the door. Normally, if you go to the door, it says it's locked. I guess because of timing, I timed it perfectly where they were coming out of the door and I was going in the door. So I was able to get a Starborn ship before I was even Starborn. But then what wound up happening later is that it screwed that save where I can't go back to Unity. And whenever an enemy ship, no matter what it is, Crimson Fleet, the other guys that have like the silver suits, I forget, the Eclectic or something, whenever they land, they never come out of the ship. So that whole save is kind of corrupted to the point where I can't get enemies to fight with other than in space battles. And then when I board their ship, there's nobody on the ship. When the ships land, I can't board those ships because of whatever this bug is that's going. But I can board Starborn ships, so it's kind of weird. So as long as they fix those 2 major issues that I've had, I'll be fine. But yeah, I've played every I guess you could say faction, and then on those, some of them have multiple factions lined up to get some of the rewards. Between like the Crimson Fleet and even the I forget what the ones that's almost like Cyberpunk. It's like not Ikari, but it's whatever that other business company where it's all about stealth and stuff like that. I've gotten
Golly. Yeah, now I'm freaking forgetting the name of it. Golly. Dang it.
No, but I just would like to see like many have mentioned before, like some sort of transportation on the surface. Mechs
Yep.
would be great because there's a planet where you land where you see a bunch of like
Yes, the
leftover
old
mechs and
from the
things like
war.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, so if those suits could be available for use, that'd be awesome. Even if that's the only means of faster transportation, but something like a speeder bike, hoverboard, or just make it easier where you can do like a super boosted before you become Starborn. That is like a super boosted backpack that works a lot better to speed up your travel process and stuff. And I know with mods you can kind of do that, but having the official mod tool set release, which I'm assuming they're waiting for Shattered Space to come out before they release the official tools, which
Yep.
I hope is here soon. It was supposed to be 6 months after release, and we've kind of passed that at this point, but I'm hoping come June that it's ready and all the updates are there waiting. And I'll more than likely hop back in and put like another 12 or more days into it as well. But yeah, the big things are just make it easier for after you make a certain level on like starship stuff, make it so all the parts are everywhere, so you don't have to go to a specific part to planet to get only these parts and whatnot. Although you're supposed to, I guess, when you build up your base, have it where you have access to all of them, but there's like 5 or 6 pieces that don't seem to be popping up, and I'm already Crimson Fleet or aligned with the Crimson Fleet, and some of those important parts aren't there. And then the ones from the other stealth people aren't there either. So, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. But yeah, that was a tremendous game. Some of the it's great that they have cross save on this game. That's the one thing I wish, like kind of what Silent Cypher said earlier, that 76 and even Fallout 4 had. I wish it had it between PC and console. Because I've had to restart Fallout 4 because I'm playing it more so on PC now with mods and stuff. But I think the big thing is if they could either put the mod tools out so we can create our own, Fallout planet or our own, Elder Scrolls planet or something along those lines, that would be great. But it would be nice if they also had like maybe the Vault Tech free DLC or something like that, where you do go to Earth and you do find a vault or something like that. And, maybe it's just skeletons. Maybe you find the gecko there or something, whatever the case may be. That would make for an interesting, overlap in the worlds type of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Shattered Space, hoping that they have a lot of fixes, and in particular the fixes that I run into where I played so many different playthroughs simultaneously to see if I could break things, and I actually found out breaking things.
Breaking them, yeah.
But it's been a fun experience. Like I'll put it this way, and I'm pretty sure Ham knows. There's nothing better than being the pirate or the bad guy. Like you align with the Crimson Fleet. The only drawback is then you don't have the Crimson Fleet to fight when you land places where they're at. They just say, "Oh, as long as the money is good," or they have like 10 lines that they send. Say when you land on the planet that they've already kind of tried to take over. But yeah, there should be a lot more things that they could do with like some of the different NPCs or different enemy types would be cool. Or different allegiances, which I don't think I've been able to figure out how to become. I forget the one girl's name, whatever background she is. I haven't figured out how to become cool with them to the point where you either have some of their tool set or abilities and things like that. But I don't think that one was a possibility though. But yeah, bug fixes.
Talking about House of Varun?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. House of Varun. Yep.
Yeah. I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think you can join them and be aligned with them.
It kind of pissed me off at the end because I am because I made Khan. I told you I made Khan Noonensai from Star Trek 2, and
nice.
I'm mad evil, right? But like I am part of House of Varun. But what made me angry is Andreja didn't recognize it. And there was no way for me to say, hey, I am already like your people.
Yeah.
So it was like this awkward conversation of her saying like, I don't know about getting with somebody that's outside of my, outside of my, my religion. And I'm like, I'm not. So that part kind of pissed me off because I felt like that part wasn't taken care of very well at all.
Yeah. No, but it's an awesome game.
I would have rather totally had the House of Room squad with me than the Crimson Fleet. The Crimson Fleet are lazy, man.
Yeah, they are lazy.
You go over to their crib and you're just like, what is happening here? That'll never pick up nothing. Y'all dirty.
Yeah, they are, and they send you into danger all the time. Go here, we'll just report back. And you're like, what are we doing here? Why I got to go by myself? Aren't you guys the baddest of the bad? No, they want you to do everything. They are lazy. That's a good point. Look, Ham, before we get you out of here, brother, and we do your outro, quick question, and we're going to segue on to the fact that let's talk about Fallout 5 for a hot second. Fallout 5 is something that we know just based on the math is not going to be released for years. I again, there was that Todd Howard interview talking about Fallout the show. Of course, season 2 yesterday was confirmed, which is not a surprise at all. But he was asked specifically about Starfield and, more importantly, Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls would make a dope series. Starfield would make a freaking dope series. He said nay. He says, right now, we're not talking about anything else. That's disappointing. But the other thing that they're not talking about, and I think it's a mistake, I just think it is an ultimate bad idea to kind of say, hey, we're working on this, which, of course, a lot of the YouTubers that are fans of Todd Howard believe in our hearts that he has Indiana Jones left, and his magnum opus, if you will, is probably going to be the next Elder Scrolls. And at that point, he might retire. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because he's been in the industry. What, it's going to be 30 years? He's been here a while. He's going to want to retire eventually. Nothing wrong with that. With that said, if they follow the pattern, Ham Solo, of, well, Starfield took all of these years. Now the team is, there's a small team working on fixes, bugs, and things of that nature, the DLC. Now everyone has shifted over to, of course, Elder Scrolls, which a lot of us think is going to be a launch title for the next Xbox in 2026. Is that a reality? Well, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll find out. If we go by the numbers and you say, okay, well, they're working on Elder Scrolls, it's probably not coming out for another 2, 3, 4 years, right?
Sure.
When do they start development on Fallout 5? And this is where I'm thinking maybe you need to do one of two things. Either a collab with Obsidian, put the two teams together, make a special Fallout team, and let them go crazy. Let them make the next Fallout 5. And I don't know if that's what Todd wants to do. And or you're Microsoft. You might have to hire some new people. You need to have to make a dedicated studio that works on Fallout 5, because I don't think, based on the excitement for the brand because of the show, the games are seeing record success. And they're old. We need something new. What do you takes?
Oh, absolutely. I 100% think that they should make a specific team just for Fallout, just because how big the game is, all the writing that has to kind of go into it. And I just don't think you can kind of do Fallout and kind of do something else.
Yes, I agree. Yep.
So yeah, with that being said, I'd 100% love to see Microsoft, especially as Todd Howard starts to kind of, make his exit.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you want to capitalize and just like make sure, okay, we have this, like the show's doing really well. People are still clearly into a game that came out years ago, that came out back in 2015, and people are interested into this Fallout 76 thing. We have this issue right now with, cross play and stuff like that. and we have all these other things that we're trying to monetize at the same time with being with seasons and added content, and now we have a Series S and X version of Fallout 4 coming out, and a PS5 version of it and whatnot. Like, you're telling me essentially that you are sinking a lot of money into Fallout. So like, if you believe in it that much, why not just make a freaking dedicated team to it? You did a dedicated team to Halo, and Halo isn't even jumping like Fallout is right now. Right? So like, I'd say make a specific studio for Fallout just for that, and allow Bethesda main to continue to work on, you know, its Elder Scrolls games and its other IPs that it wants to put out here. Really open up the door and allow people to kind of have jobs in, you know, the specific spot that they love. Hey, you love working on Fallout and that's it? You're on the Fallout team, and we're gonna hire a replacement for you to be able to take over, to be able to take over for, you know, the Starfield work and the other Elder Scrolls stuff and whatnot. So I think that would be a wonderful idea for that in particular. And I just think it also open up so much in the sense of the lore and the ability to make things canon for the show coming up, you know, down the line and whatnot, and be able to make dope, crazy, wild storylines that can be implemented into the into the show in the future. I honestly also think it'd be cool to see a Fallout game based off of the TV show in particular.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, there's just so much lore. Like, I've been watching some Fallout lore and whatnot as of lately, and it's just crazy how much stuff that they have within that world. All the different type of vaults that they had, like throughout the time. Like, I think it was Vault 11 that tested on their own people, making sure that they choose they choose a person to die every single year, and then then they end up having like an overseer that is to die at the end of every year, and then they didn't realize that the vault itself was just waiting for them to pretty much say, no, we're not gonna do this.
Right.
And they just kind of fell in line and let things happen. Like just little things like that could be like its own freaking game, dang.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, there are. I mean, based on the show, what they say, there was 122 volts across the planet. Is that somewhere? Is that what the number was?
United States, just the United States,
just United States. So that was just the U.S. That wasn't the world. My mistake. But that's a lot. That's a lot of story. That is a lot of story. That's a lot of lore. Again, I agree with you. I think success changes direction very easily. If Fallout the series comes out and it's met with the same kind of static, so to speak, that Halo Season 1 was met with, where some people were excited. It's Master Chief. Oh my God, it's him. Some people were like, oh, this is awful. I saw his ass. I don't want to see any more of that, please. Master Cheeks, no more. And some people were lukewarm with the helmet off, right? That was not the case with Fallout. Like, literally everyone you talk to was like, oh my God, the gaming gods have answered. So with that excitement, and again, money talks and, you know, walks, right? Fallout 3 selling, Fallout 4, 7,500% across Europe boost. That's not a made up number, folks. I had to double and triple check it. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. It's a typo. It's not. That's how well it's selling over there. They need to, like I said, I don't know what they could do. I don't know what you do from now to June. Are they working on a Fallout that's super secret? Because Todd keeps the thing super close. I would imagine they're doing something. We did hear, he did say in an interview that they had to change a few things from the show because they were going to use that for Fallout 5. So they got close. So they're working on it to some extent. He's probably writing it right now, but we can't. I personally can't wait until 2030 for a new Fallout 5. I just think that's ridiculous. Ham Solo, brother, we know you got to go. By all means, sell your brand. Talk about TSWS Gaming. Obviously, I saw the tweet. You got one of the premier, and they're all premier, the Iron Lord, Sovereign, Mr. Sovereign himself, joining you this week behind them sticks. Love Solve. We got a chance to hang out in 2019. I'm going to E3. I'm booked. The flight is locked. The hotel is locked and loaded. I will be in LA, boots on the ground, covering everything that is happening for 4 days. Hopefully, Ham, you're going, and we can meet in real life, because I missed you at PAX East, which you did an amazing job covering that event. Let's talk about it. Sell your brand. Where can people check out those videos from that massive event? All the pictures that you put up on the socials with you meeting the Iron Lords and everyone underneath the sun.
Yeah.
And more importantly, where can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, man, it was dope being out there at PAX meeting all those folks. Miles Dompierre in person.
Yes, Miles, what a good dude.
Snowbike Mike, which I'm going to be having him on Behind Them Sticks here real soon as well. Man, a bunch of phenomenal developers that, are working with me in the background to be on the show, and also work on some game reviews and stuff like that in the near future. But yeah, if you want to check that out and you want to keep up on all the stuff that I've been doing, I mean, I have quite a bit of folks that are in the chat that are pretty regular over there. Shout out to like Mike Johnson. I see like I know Rachy be popping up over here, Silent Cypher here on the show himself, and in many others that are phenomenal people that come back very regular. But yeah, I put the link in the chat. I'll put it in there a couple more times. It's TSWS Gaming. It says right there, TSWS Gaming with Ham Solo and Loke. I'm obviously Ham Solo. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing a show over there 4:00 Eastern today. We're gonna be talking about all sorts of different type of subjects, including some of the subjects that we talked about on here. And yeah, that's where you'll be able to find me. Hopefully, I'll be able to make it out to California. I'm not quite sure yet, because a lot of it's kind of short notice right now for me. But I'm gonna definitely try to do it. But right now, it's kind of 50-50, whether I'm gonna actually do it or not. But thank you so much, Boom, for allowing me to come through here, chill, speak my piece, be a little bit messy, say some wild stuff. That's what I do a lot of that on my own channel and stuff like that. And I'm more than happy for any of you guys that are around here to come through in the chat. I mean, and if you're even interested in coming on the show, holler at me at HamSolo05 Gaming on Twitter. I am very open to hearing other people's opinions, whether I agree with you or not. That has nothing to do with it, as long as we can show respect amongst each other as people. But we're gonna talk some shit about some consoles and whatnot. So it just kind of is. It is what it is. But the last thing I'm gonna leave here with, Boom, is nostalgia is a B.
Yeah,
and
it is.
What people we've seen what can happen when an IP sticks close to the lore and the actual and stays canon with the IP that they're actually using. That being Fallout in this case. And we've seen it with The Last of Us and whatnot. People love things that actually make sense and go with the actual lore of stuff like that. I loved Halo and whatnot, but I could see why people got a little, felt some type of way about that show and whatnot. I love the show personally, but yeah, I mean, this is a big thing that they need to take serious, move forward with, and try to maximize profit on top of to really stay ahead of the game. Microsoft loves staying ahead of the game, but we need it to make sense for the people. So that's what I'm going to leave off with. Thank you so much, Boom, for having me on the show today. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the day. Good to see you, Silent Cypher. Good to see you, Fuzzy Belvedere. And it was wonderful hanging out with everybody in the chat. Your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming signing out from TSWS Gaming. Keep it gaming and keep it moving. Peace out, y'all.
Thanks, Ham. Appreciate it, brother. We'll talk soon.
Later, Ham.
Silent Cypher. Before obviously, this is again a small little poquito topic of the conversation. Are they should Microsoft and Bethesda work to get a Fallout 5 quicker? Again, we don't want anything rushed. right? We don't want them to try and capitalize on excitement and we get a shit game. Nobody wants that. But I think it's safe to say that we are potentially in an era where waiting until 2030 for a new Fallout game, it just does not make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make dollars. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it especially given the popularity and the fanfare that we've seen around the Fallout TV series so far, the fact that season 2 has already been given the green light, it feels like the right time to get this thing out there and get more Fallout into people's hands. The idea of having, the update for Fallout 4, or maybe having like a remaster or remake of Fallout 3, like that stuff's cool, but dude, come on. Like it has been a long time since we had a proper Fallout. Sorry, like Fallout 76, yeah, okay, that's there. I don't really care for online stuff like that in that way. I'll play it, but I just personally I want a big bombastic single player experience again. And we haven't had that for a while. And I just keep thinking like, okay, eventually we're going to hear something Fallout related. My hope is that while they've been working on Elder Scrolls 6, and Whole Green Bread in the chat, we've been talking back and forth about it the last little bit. I kind of hope that like maybe they've got the teams working on both games at the same time, like do a little splinter group over here, have Elder Scrolls going over here. You're cooking on both burners and you're getting things lined up so we don't have to wait until 2030, because dude, 2030, it doesn't.
Will we even
sound
be
that,
around, or will we have a Fallout situation of our own?
Yeah, man. Like I'm already 11 as it is. Like I'm gonna have too much arthritis in my hands by the time we get a new Fallout. I won't even be able to. I'll have to rely on VATS for everything because I won't be able to have any reflexes anymore by the time we get a new Fallout.
Well, I mean, think about you. Listen, I'm way older than you. I'm going to be 54. So imagine me. I'm going to actually need to be like in virtual reality, be like just kind of sitting there like this.
We're gonna have to take our Metamucil right before we even jump into Fallout for the day. But yeah, it's just the idea of 6 years away before we see a new Fallout is just, it's ludicrous to me. Like, again, they've got the TV series that just hit. I can't
strike while the iron is hot, as they say.
Exactly. And I can't imagine a world in which like they don't have something Fallout lined up besides just these couple like updates and stuff. Like that's great, but you've got a gold mine right now in regards to the amount of like eyes on the brand. The retention right now, the eyes on the brand, it's at a fever pitch.
Yep.
So utilize that and make it, make it a big thing for yourself. And the idea that we would have to wait that long, like I know that they could keep doing the TV series and maybe that fervor will continue as we get to a new game. But I gotta be positive and hopeful that like they've got something they've been working on that's coming sooner than we think.
I agree. I think look, success drives innovation. Success also pushes the envelope of what you're going to do. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever to sit on an IP. No one's asking for a rush job. No one's asking for them to just throw paint at the wall and sell it for $1 million. Look at that. Oh my God, it's a miracle. It's the greatest thing. No, but I don't know if the world wants to wait, because Fallout 76 is consistently getting updates. It's more like a Fallout game because there is NPCs and things, but I don't want to play that the same way I don't want to play ESO. I know I can, and I can enjoy it through a single player experience, which is how I enjoy playing, but I don't want that. I want a real story-driven Fallout. And Fuzzy, before we get to outros and get everybody out of here to start your weekend, I just did the math. Next November, Fallout 4 will be celebrating its 10th anniversary. It came out November 10th, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're ultimately suggesting is that we're going to have to wait 15 years for a new Fallout? That's just crazy. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. It is like one of the biggest misses with this, Fallout on Prime and everything. Like that they don't have a newer iteration on the drawing board, at least that we know of right now. There have been a few suggestions, and considering the resources that Microsoft has, you would think it would be in Bethesda's best interest to go ahead and grow three teams within Bethesda. One that's solely focused on Starfield, one that's solely focused on Fallout, and one that's solely focused on the Elder Scrolls, and have it kind of like on a larger scale, kind of like what Playground Games did, where they have your Forza Horizon group, and then they have their Fable group. So it seems like it's time for them to figure out how to make that work. Whether it means just starting with a bare bones team to kind of get the storyboard stuff started, to get the basics as far as if they're going to be starting in Creation Engine 2, which I guess Starfield is based around, or if they're going to go and start something completely different with Unreal Engine. Whatever the case is, try to get at least the fundamentals started. And I know Todd said he didn't want the TV series to, possibly go down any story paths of what they potentially would do for Fallout 5. So I think so they have plenty of seasons worth of content on the TV show. I think it's probably better to get started now on the next game, so that way there's not going to be that conflict of interest down the road, or potentially something that would be retcon or whatever you want to call it, even though some people are saying some stuff might be already. But I think in the grand scheme of things, even if it means borrowing some of the help from Obsidian, even if it means borrowing some of the help from InXile, there are people at both of those studios that have been involved in the Fallout series in the past, so it might be worthwhile having that additional help. Yes, I know Obsidian's working on a couple of projects themselves. They got Outer Worlds 2 in the process while they're trying to finish up Avowed, and I think they have possibly a third unnamed title, which maybe that's a New Vegas 2 kind of thing, or something that's like a new area, in the vein of the way New Vegas was. That would be nice. But one of the things I was thinking of, like, even not to say that InXile and Wasteland is Fallout related per se, but there is very close similarities and theme wise between the first two Fallouts and Wasteland. So possibly a Wasteland 4, even though, yes, I know they're working on Clockwork Revolution, a smaller team possibly doing a kind of like, if it's a remaster or a complete redo to like the Fallout 1 and 2, even that would be a better holdover between now and the Fallout 5 than nothing at all. Yes, I know that they're still adding content to Fallout 76, but like Boom said, it's not going to be for everyone. Not everyone wants the potential for a PvP type experience. If they were to do like a PvE only experience, maybe that might kind of suit a little bit better, but then would it be additional DLC that we would have to rely on, like the Jersey DLC or a new location DLC to kind of, cover, the Fallout 5 gap type of thing? That would be, something for them to look at. But honestly, I think, like I said, because Microsoft has the resources, making Bethesda, work into three teams or three units that are, dedicated to either Starfield, Fallout, or Elder Scrolls might be the best move moving forward. So that way it's not a 10-year gap in between each title or 15-year gap between each title, because Starfield 2 definitely needs to happen within the next 10 to 15 years. Elder Scrolls 6 is hopefully around the corner in the next 2 or 3, but a Fallout 5 would be nice if we could have within the next 5 or sooner. But yeah, it doesn't seem like that's in the cards just yet. But Microsoft has the wherewithal to be able to do so. It looks like the iron's hot now, so there's plenty of money on the table to be grabbed. So it would be in their best interest to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a waste to have to. And again, if you enjoy Fallout 76, awesome. It's seeing great success. It's seeing more success now than it had when it came out, which is awesome. But it's not what I want. I want a single-player, story-driven Fallout 5. And I don't feel like waiting until I'm 60 years old to get it. I'm just sorry. I don't want to wait until I'm 60 to get that game. And I think that the success of the show, the success of the old games getting ridiculously big numbers should indicate a move needs to happen. And you know what? Again, everyone has said it. You're Microsoft. I don't want to say you have limitless money, but you are a $3 trillion company. If you want to make money and continue to innovate, waiting another 6 years for a new Fallout does not make any sense. And if it, like I said earlier, if it's not making sense, it's not making dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us on Breakfast with Boom. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself here today enough to hit the like button. And if you did, maybe you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. We are still trying to hit 15,000 subscribers on YouTube, and you can help us get there by just hitting the subscribe button. If you're feeling extra generous, hit the like button on your way out. A big thank you to all of the super chats and channel memberships that continue to help us do big things with the channel. That means, new cameras, new lighting, new PCs when we need them. But more importantly, Mrs. Boom strive to give back. And we do that by doing these big contests. And we had a lot of them last year. We have just as much, potentially more, lined up for 2024. We are on the hook for at least, ladies and gentlemen, $3,500 worth of prizes. And all you got to do is be in the chat. Now, the only thing that we are changing is because it's only fair, if you're going to win, you got to at least be subbed to the channel. We used to just give anyone that was in there, and we gave a lot of people that weren't subbed, and sitting back and looking at it, talking to a few people in the business, they're like, that's not right, because you're not asking them or charging them anything. You don't have to drop a super chat. You don't have to be a channel member to win. You have to be in the chat while we're doing the live stream. So when we give you the hashtag, you put it in, and you have a chance on winning through the picker that we have through StreamYards. But the thing that we are going to kind of push forward a little bit, and I think it's only fair, is that you got to at least be subbed to the channel. And I don't really think that's asking too much, because subbing the channel is free. And obviously, if you're going to win a prize, if we're willing to support you, wouldn't it be okay to support us? I think that's fair. But with that said, Silent Cypher, dude, it's great to have you back. Sorry, some of the stuff you've had, you've gone through it the last couple of weeks. Great to have you here. You're looking good. And by all means, sell the brand of the Xbox International Podcast, where they can subscribe, where they can tune in to see you. Obviously, the Big Plume is a part of it. Crazy Lou Gaming when he's not in jail, which is awesome. And when he's not in the shower, showing off his guns. Talk about it. Where can people subscribe? And more importantly, follow you on social media.
Awesome. Well, Boom, thanks again, as always, for having me. It's great to be getting back into things. It definitely has been a rough couple weeks, so yep. I'm happy that things are starting to get on an upturn a little bit. I'm looking forward to playing some gaming. I haven't gotten to talk gaming for a while either, so it's been great to hang out with you all. Shout out to everyone in the chat. It's great to see a bunch of familiar faces. Always fun to hang out with you guys on a Friday morning when I'm not working. Fuzzy and Boom, and also to Hamathy when he was on here earlier. It's great to be with you guys again. But in regards to where you can find me, of course, on Wednesdays at Xbox International Podcast with Sour Blow and Crazy Louie, and Plume when he's not teaching baseball, because he is a baseball coach, I believe.
That's awesome.
So he's doing the work out there while we're sitting there just playing some video games, talking games on Wednesdays. And then you can find me, of course, here every other Friday when I'm not working. Besides that, you can find me on Twitter being an ass goblin. Sorry, not sorry, but it's a place where I have a lot of fun, and if you take it too seriously, that's not my fault. It's a place to have fun, joke around, and if you get too wrapped up, like just gotta take a second, step back, smell some grass.
It's just all funny
take
games.
A hike.
Yeah,
go take a hike, go get some fresh air.
Yeah, touch grass is what you're saying.
Yeah, touch grass,
touch
exactly.
grass.
Yeah, legally. And yeah, if you ever want to play any video games or anything, feel free to find me all over the game systems and stuff. I'm Silent Cypher. More than welcome to play some games with you if I'm around at the time. So thanks, guys. It's been great.
Great. Well, listen, great to have you back. Obviously, great to see that you are getting back into things. And certainly appreciate you being part of today's show. Shout out to Cobra Live Radio. Someone I've never seen that name before. Funny enough, I'm wearing a GI Joe shirt. So go Cobra. Thanks so much for being here, brother. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell your brand, kind sir. Where could people tune in, listen to you on other shows? More importantly, support you in your goal to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, where, folks, you can get all of the best racing game genre information. And more importantly, where can people follow you on social media?
As always, thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure to be on here with you guys today. Shout out to Ham for being on here as well. And it's great to see you back here, Silent Cypher. Good seeing you, good hearing your voice, and just, being able to chill and talk games with you and everything. Thanks to everybody in the chat for checking us out. Like Boom said earlier, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate it. And for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on the Shop Podcast Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. Once again, that's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be no Xbox Ultimate tonight. And then on Sunday, Pixelated Echoes on the Pixelated Echoes channel at 8:30 p.m. on Sunday night. Hope to see everybody there. It'll be me and 3-Bit on there as well. And then look forward to seeing hopefully everybody here that's in the chat back here on this channel at 12 noon for Xbox Lunch Break Special. Look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks again.
Thank you, brother. Super appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, have an amazing weekend. Obviously, try and be nice to each other. I'd love to see more people being nice because obviously this, the world is real ugly right now in a lot of places, and we need nice people, and we need nice people to do good things. And if you can help with that, it'd be awesome. This world needs it. I'm glad to be a part of it. Hopefully, again, if you enjoyed today's podcast, hit the like button on your way out. Maybe throw me a sub. That would be dope as well. Of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad continued to teach us as kids. And he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day." So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.